Of course, I'm talking about criminals here in the Federation. Do you support catching these criminals?
Well, are we talking about the crime of fleeing here? Or are we talking about the refugees who here commit crimes? Because, as I said before, I inherently disagree with the characterization of those fleeing the colonies as criminals. Because the rate of crimes committed by them is significantly lower than
Lower?
the
No,
low.
I've talked to people, to law troopers, who have been surveying and handling these places and planets on the outskirts near the Fumus colonies. Some of these newcomers commit crimes, violent crimes, including murder. Do you support the removal of these people?
Of course, no one's disputing the removal of violent criminals. I'm just objecting to the characterization of the
Did
criminalizing
I
of an
do that?
entire population.
Did I do that?
It's a common talking point that
Here's a
you.
fact for you. Statistics show that Fumus communities have a 15% higher conviction rate than normal communities.
That is a gross simplification and doesn't take into account
So,
other
so you're
factors that
telling
go
me,
into those
so you're telling
numbers.
me I visited these places and spoke with law troopers and deputies, soldiers in meetings of the military and law enforcement. They said that Fuma's criminals have brought close to 600,000 instances of violent crime per planet. Are you seriously calling them liars?
I'm not saying that.
You sound like you don't care about the lives of Federation citizens who abide by the law, who are victims of this
You
crime.
are totally mischaracterizing what I'm saying. My point is that these numbers that you're presenting to your audience, they don't paint the full picture and don't get to the complexity of the situation. And it creates a rhetoric that criminalizes an entire
The ones
population
the
of.
ones who come here illegally are criminals. I understand wanting to flee the violence of their worlds. I do. But there is a process, and for our safety, they have to follow that process. And for our safety, Director Adna, duly elected by the people, has the authority to determine how many immigrants the Federation accepts. And he even has the authority to suspend any class, race, whatever that he deems to be a danger to the Galactic Federation. That is his right and is a fair use of the authority of his position, and any refugees from the Fumas colonies are lucky to even be here.
That may be true, but my criticism of the director is based on his rhetoric and past statements he's made that border on the xenophobic towards other outside
Is it
populations.
xenophobic now to look out for the interests of our federation? Is that where we are now? You know, you've developed a reputation. I
Oh, really?
think you just hate the director. You hate Director Adna, and you'll criticize any move he makes. So of course you'll criticize his handling of the Fumus aliens, and you'll take the side of the colonies.
The thing about the Fumus colonies is that it's targeting a specific population, and that's where his motives and his council's motives become suspect. We've seen before that prejudices of entire populations haven't worked out well in the past, and especially stymieing them at the border, returning them to a dangerous situation, or holding them. What's happening on some of those prison asteroids? They're held indefinitely. Entire populations concentrated in what? Camps? It's unethical, and we know it.
But we don't know what's coming out of those colonies. The refugees are fleeing for a reason. There are monsters there. We don't know if they're bringing eggs or spores or whatever that could bring those monsters here. Especially because those colonies are a hotbed for extremist groups too. Terrorists that hate the Federation and have already committed acts of terrorism since the end of the war. There's also the fact that we don't know if their colonies have diseases, and that smoke, we don't know how that could affect Federation citizens who aren't like them, who have organs that could be infected by what they exude. It's too much to be endangering honest citizens for what? A small number of people who aren't even from here?
This right here, exactly. This is what I'm talking about. This is the rhetoric that the director, and you, by the way, this is what's promoting a view that's criminalizing an entire population, especially one that's seeking our help. The Federation is a federation, a group of societies working together. So why is it now that they're all banding together? A collection of all sorts of
But
life
we
forms are now
know
fearful of
there are
what?
dangerous monsters on the Fumus colonies, and we know that some of them, those immigrants coming in from the colonies, they have ties to terrorists. We've seen the attacks on some other Federation planets on ships, cruise liners, you name
You
it.
can't just put
Hold
all
on,
the
let me
blame.
finish. We have Glanton, the B-89 ship, Ormond, the DDC-12A incident, Axmalsar sector. There have been attacks, countless, just in this past year. And we know these places have ties to terror, and you want to gamble with the lives of Federation citizens. Do you care about your fellow citizens at all?
First of all, I am a citizen, and of
Do
course
you
I
care
care.
at all?
If we're talking about these specific instances, all of these you're bringing up, the people involved in those instances, they came from different colonies and worlds, but that doesn't generalize the
You're not
entire.
answering my question.
The profiling is amazing, and our laws state
They're not citizens, Iridian. Those laws don't apply to them. The laws that protect citizens and citizens' rights don't apply to them. How about protecting, I don't know, citizens?
they're not mutually
You're not
exclusive.
answering my question. Why do you want to gamble with the lives of ordinary, real people to inconvenience a small number of outsiders who aren't even citizens?
Because I believe that we're better than profiling entire populations of outsiders. It is highly reminiscent of Federation sentiment following the robot uprising not too long ago, and the profiling of so-called inorganics for quote-unquote obvious reasons
Well, that was so long
vis-a-vis
ago.
the uprising.
Today's different.
The sentiment continues
Right
to this
now,
day.
here, right now, we need to vet, extreme vetting. We need extreme vetting of people who are coming in from outside our borders, and we need to ensure that those who do get in are safe and not criminals.
But the current system is not moving refugees fast enough or enough in general. We have the means, but the director's rhetoric is not helping because he's characterizing everyone fleeing as criminals. Something needs to change. We have the space, we have the means, we have the technology, but there's only one thing, and that's the director's rhetoric that's just making it hard for people to accept this.